toxin-free, natural, non-tox, low-tox, clean beauty. These are the new buzzwords that many brands are using to sell their products. So I want to break them down so you know what they actually mean so you can make the right purchasing decisions for you. Short answer, these terms are pretty nonsensical. Almost everything on earth is toxic or poisonous at some level. There is a phrase, the dose makes the poison. So essentially, anything can be poisonous depending on how much of it you take. This is a well-known example, but take water for instance. Hyponatremia, which means not enough salt, is caused by drinking too much water, which dilutes the critical salts in your body. Drinking as little as 6 litres or 1.5 gallons in just 3 hours has killed people, although it isn't common. So bearing this in mind, does that then mean that all cosmetics that contain water should now be labelled as toxic? Well, of course not, because we know that water is only hazardous to us at a certain concentration. One of the most toxic things on Earth, besides ionising radiation, is botulism. But many people inject it into their faces and other body parts to tighten skin, prevent and reduce wrinkles, and stop excess sweating. So how can we do this? Botox is incredibly diluted, manufactured under strict controls, and used in the hands of professionals. So this is an example of something that is incredibly toxic, used in safe quantities, rendering it perfectly safe. Clean beauty is a super vague term. I did a lot of research on what other people think is clean, and I have simply come to the conclusion that it just means made without ingredients that cause harm or are suspected to cause harm. Typically, it includes no silicons, petrochemicals, synthetic fragrances, preservatives, synthetic colorants, and so on. Yet there are no guidelines or any requirement for proof of this statement. And as I pointed out a moment ago, anything can be toxic at the right dose. So if you were to determine if something was non-toxic, you would need to know the concentration of every ingredient in the product. One other criterion I found was simplicity. The idea that clean beauty is simple products with fewer ingredients. But that doesn't make any sense either. If something has 5 ingredients or 50, that means absolutely nothing for its safety or efficacy. 1 or 2 of those ingredients could still be unclean, rendering that requirement nonsensical. Some say the ingredients need to be natural and organic to fulfill clean beauty, while others say it doesn't matter. Regardless, it's a term with no regulation, very little meaning, and no basis in fact. Natural and organic doesn't make a product any safer for you either. Organic is a whole other can of worms that I won't go into today, but as a taster, did you know that organic crops use the same amount of pesticides as conventional ones, just different pesticides? And often they leach more nitrogen. Natural is probably the most common claim out there, and another that doesn't mean anything either. Natural doesn't mean safe. There are plenty of things in nature that are incredibly unsafe, like mercury, arsenic, deadly nightshade. In fact, everything at a certain concentration, as I mentioned a moment ago. You cannot derive any idea of safety or cleanness from whether something is synthetic or natural. And in regards to simplicity, anything we are capable of creating in a lab is infinitely more simple than nature's brilliance. So if you are looking for products you can trust, where do you look? Unfortunately, due to the amount of marketing nonsense out there, it is hard. You have to look past what is listed on the bottle and do a bit of research. There are some great resources out there that we will list in the description. And we are here to help too. We have lots of resources on our blog about the truth behind certain ingredients from both an environmental and a health perspective. And you can trust that we won't use anything that has any scientifically validated health concerns or those ingredients which harm the planet. So feel free to ask us any questions too.